I don't know if I'm having technical difficulties or not, but whatever. Oh man, feels weird doing this. Anyway, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to hop on, guys. We're gonna be talking about three major projects. Obviously, you know two of them, but I don't know how familiar you are with Reactive Network, but I think that's gonna be one of the best projects that is out there as far as layer one goes. I think they're probably going to be very successful. What up? What up? Man, I'm telling you, life's been crazy. Just been nuts, nuts, crazy nuts, man. Are you still holding down Jasmine? Are you buying some other stuff? So I think Reactive Network's gonna be a banger too, man. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but they're they're doing some good stuff, man. We got to change the way that we invest, especially, it's like we can't keep going after, single coins. We got to diversify. And what I want to get across on this video, guys, is that, you know, I don't know where your money is or your money situation is. What's up? What is up, bro? So I don't know where your guys' money is, but the thing to do right now essentially is build within these lower caps. Because look, if you're trying to build in, bigger, in the blue chip stocks and the blue chip coins, sorry, it's gonna be tough, right? It becomes like it puts you in a situation where it's actually tough to deal with, right? Because say you want to buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin's sitting at like 90 grand now per token. But you have to understand, I hope everybody is still holding Jasmy because I think we're actually going to get a pump pretty soon. If not within the next week or two, I think we're going to see a pump. Jasmy's been in a consolidation phase after we hit that point. I think it was like 5 cents, 6 cents last December, right? So we think about where we're at now and we look at the market. See, there's a lot of things to look at, especially um what is that? Someone has stolen my friend's private photos, left the country. She doesn't stop crying. What do I do? Damn. That's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to think about, but I don't know. That's just I have no answer for that. But you guys hear me, right? Can I get some thumbs up, some likes if you hear me? Because I'm in this Apple AirPod. Can you guys hear me? Somebody, there's 10 on. Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me? You hear me? Should be able to hear me. But anyways, let's talk about what's going on, right? Because this is a whole new crypto game, right? So I was expecting Jasmine R to be at like 10 cents, maybe even 20. But just looking at Bitcoin and how Bitcoin's performing, and it's also we knew the markets were gonna go, sideways, or they were gonna do something strange for a little bit of change, right? Because why we have all these Bitcoin ETFs and we have institutional guys hopping in, BlackRock, Trump, everybody and their mama are buying up batches of Bitcoin, and now they're what they're doing is they're making money. They buy it. It goes, to these 120 zones, and then they just dump it out, take their profits. But then they start picking it up again. They start picking it up again. And it's just kind of like a cycle. But what I'm seeing right now, and this is something that you learn the longer that you've been in crypto, and the more research, the more understanding and the comprehension that you get, you understand, okay, what's going on. And what I see in the market is Bitcoin is kind of, it's losing dominance, and that's because you have these big manipulating investors dumping them out. But I noticed that they're starting to buy altcoins now. I see altcoins are holding steady. So what I expect is for us to see a revisit of last November, last December, when we started seeing Jasmine start pumping up, and then we got to that 6 cents. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, with the amount of money that has accumulated through Bitcoin and that's going to flow into the altcoins, we're going to see some significant pumps. Now, Jasmine at the right freaking time, it couldn't have been more on point for them to launch Junction, because now Junction is going to actually catapult Jasmine in the direction, because we know now Jasmine has some massive utility out there. And Junction as a project, JCT, is actually one of those projects that I believe is going to push Jasmine up, into that pinnacle. Um, if you've already looked up Jasmine token, that Jasmine's going to be a gas for Junction. So that means for transacting anything in Junction, to move Junction around, you're going to have to pay with, pay with that transaction with Jasmine. So I think they got it dialed in on how they're going to, learn. It's basically going to give Jasmine more utility, and Jasmine necessarily don't even have to build anything for them to start utilizing gas fees for Jasmine and putting it into circulation. Now, that's good and that's bad. Now there's going to be a demand created for Jasmine, right? But my fear is are we going to dilute the price? But what the positive is that, you know, um J- Hera and the Jasmine team have already implemented that they have KPI goals of $17 getting it there. That's all speculation right now. People always ask me. I do post on it a lot because I do eventually think that we can get there. However, I think it's gonna take more than by next year to get there. However, in retrospect of that, I believe that Jasmine will do like 20 to 30 cents by next year, because what happens, this is the issue, is that people don't understand what type of cycle we're in right now. This bull cycle that we're in is essentially one of those that it's pretty much has it's kicked out a lot further. And essentially that's because we have the economy that it needs to be rebuilt. And that's globally. If we look at the economy, that's a big part of investing in crypto. You have to understand what the economic footprint looks like, and what it looks like from the United States, Europe, Japan. It's everywhere. You have to understand that right now we're in a transition phase, and this is what I believe is going to happen essentially very soon, is that, you know, all these, globally, they push the price up for gold. Now you have two solid assets. You have gold and then you have Bitcoin. And what they're doing is creating a system to be able to um, inflate the price of gold, balance it out with Bitcoin, and essentially take the high money, or the top. I don't want to even say profits, because I don't think that could kind of relate to gold, but if you have a high price in gold and you basically subsidize it with Bitcoin, um, then you have now Bitcoin sitting as a store of value that it basically could, peg to every single stable coin that there is, so it's a big change. It's something that we're going through. But not to get too far back off of subject, Junction and Jasmine, I believe in these two projects probably more now than ever because with Junction, it basically opens the door for Jasmine to start producing their PDL, the IoT, being able to get out there, connect to the GPUs through Junction, and start operating in a system where, all the, the Web3 goes through Junction, and it's like I said, it's basically subcontracted through Junction to be able to. And I'm like nerding out on you guys, and I hope I don't lose you. But basically, what Junction is going to do, it's allowing Jasmy to basically bring the utility that it's been saying that it's going to do for quite some time. So what I'm looking at, guys, and I'm not really trying to place a price prediction on it because that always it's a sticky situation to put a price prediction on any type of coin because it used to be easier to project what tokens would do what and how many X's they could acquire through the market based on community building and hype and everything else behind it. Now, holders wise, Jasmine's been like, I remember there was 30,000 holders. I think we're close to 100 now. Um, so the longer you're holding this coin or this token, um, the more value it's gonna, generate over time, right? So we were all expecting Jasmine to hit 10 cents easily already. We should have been at 10 cents, but across the entire board, I go through a lot of like the top 300 coins. A lot of them are showing the same type of performance. They've hit, their 4 or 5x. And then every single coin that's, one on the top 100, top 200, we see the same pattern unless it's obviously a new token that caught a lot of hype at the right time, but everything's fizzled out. Nothing has really grown progressively. Majority of everything has remained stagnant across the board. I mean, you look at XRP, XRP should be at $6 by now. Ethereum should be at at least 8,000. Um, all these other tokens should be a lot higher than where they're sitting at right now. And essentially, like I said, the whole market got skewed because we have the ETF. So this is all brand new to the market. So it's maintaining that token that's available on the ETF, and essentially that's Bitcoin. Now you have XRP coming out with their ETF, so now we're gonna see, probably some exponential growth in XRP. And so where does that put stable coins? I mean, not stable coins, where does it put altcoins? And this is what I'm putting consistently on X is that, alt season's gonna carry over into 2026. And that has to do with the way that Bitcoin is uh, adopting to ETFs, and Ethereum's adopting to some ETFs. XRP's adopting to ETFs. So it's one of those things that people are fighting to say, oh well, crypto's dead already. People are saying that, the bull run's gonna hit next year, and I am one of those individuals that believe the bull run's gonna hit next year. Why? Because even though we got, yes, yes, sir, all day long, flipping whips. So even though we have, we've seen some Bitcoin dominance go down, it doesn't essentially mean that that's it, the bull run's over. It's these guys are playing with, and when I talk about these guys, I'm talking about the ones that are holding huge um bags of Bitcoin. And what they're doing is, like I said, they're capitalizing off the market. I do it sometimes with Jasmine, because I hold quite a bit. So when we hit those dips, like I'll kind of watch it and I'll see if we're at 1 cent, I'll put like maybe 100 grand of Jasmine tokens to the side, hedge them out. And then when we hit these dips, you put it back in and you're making money. You could easily make off 100,000 Jasmine tokens. If we're sitting at 1 cent, we've been seeing 0.01, 1.5, 1.6, 1.8, 1.7. You hedge out 100,000 tokens of Jasmine, then when we're dropping a 0.008 and you buy up, again, and it's just like a few three, $400, $200. It all depends on which way the market goes. So, but it's risky to do. The best thing to do is continuously hold, and if you want to keep building your bag, I mean, you have opportunity. This is what I say. Like, imagine how many people who had an opportunity to scoop up like thousands of Bitcoin when it was in the 20 cent, 30 cent, 40 cent era. Those people, you know if they would have known better, especially like the guy that gave a strap load of Bitcoin for some pizza, like, come on. Think about if you continuously doing that with Jasmine, at a low market cap, I think it's like anywhere from 4 to 600 million dollar market cap. We know that Jasmine can get to $1 billion market cap. That's a known. We have known data. So essentially, if you think about it, you could get back to that $1 billion market cap because it's been done. So that's like a no-brainer. Um, but I am really excited not only for Jasmine and Junction, but there's been a project that I've been, doing a lot of research on it. Um, See with the price predictions, uh, I it's tough, man. Like I really want to throw it out there, but it's really tough because I feel like, I feel like I could say that I truly believe that Jasmine will hit, 32 cents easily. But I believe before that we were gonna hit $1 because obviously I'm still gonna rep this until we get there. And once we get there, it's gonna go to the $17, KPI goal. But it's hard to say because now we could have we still have there's still some things that could happen that's gonna basically catapult. I used to not think that Jasmine being in the monitor zone or the whatever zone, whatever they call it, the monitoring zone or whatever, I do believe that that has a lot to do with the fundamentals of people believing that Jasmine's actually gonna, go higher because I think what it does is it discourages people when they see, okay, well, how is this a how is this a great project and it's sitting in Binance's monitoring zone? But if I personally think that, Binance is basically waiting for the right time to monopolize. And I think that with Junction coming out, this is with Junction coming out and a relation between Junction and Jasmine, and especially launching on Binance, I think that we may see that, they remove Jasmine out of there sooner than later. And I think this is what kind of Binance was, waiting so they could. It's a funky game the way that they play it. But I think that with Junction coming out, if we get Junction, coming strong, utility, Jasmine starts to grow. They pull it out of the monitoring zone. Basically, what that's gonna do is it's gonna bring in more buyers institutional wise, because I think as an institutional buyer, they're not gonna want to invest in something that's basically being held hostage. So releasing Jasmine out of there is that's gonna be a big, in my opinion, it'll be a big contribution to Jasmine getting to higher levels, because institutional investors will want to buy it. They're going to be like, okay, well, now I feel comfortable putting all this money into a token that is not in a monitoring zone, and it's in the monitoring zone because there's quotation, no utility behind it. So once it comes out of there, I think that's going to put Jasmine in a bigger platform. So that could essentially take Jasmine too. That could easily be a $3 to $4 billion increase just by removing it. And it's essential. I didn't think it was essential before, because knowing what Jasmine has as a project and as what their focus is, their vision is, as far as data sovereignty, that's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge for Jasmine. And it's not only will it benefit everybody for, data control and decentralized data. um there's going to be a lot of it's going to be the birth of something bigger, because data is super important. I mean, data is basically what has made billionaires in the last decade. You know, these big, huge companies like AWS, Amazon, uh, all the tech data companies, they're not in business because they created something extravagant. They're in business because they utilize a lot of data. They took that data, they monopolized off of it. They built a lot of tech companies behind it, and it's just going to be the right thing for the right time in Web3. And um that's why I know that. Sorry, I seen that G-Wagon thing. That's hella dope. Mm, dude, you could actually find one of those for like 60 racks. Sorry, I'm off topic again. So what I'm saying is that it's gonna be a huge business for us as, people who use utility for data and getting paid for it. That's what's pretty big behind it. But also, I think that, Sony's a huge company. They've done a lot of cool stuff. Hopefully, we could see them. But guys, it's not being stuck on one thing. Um, what's exciting, going into the future, is Jasmine's also within DeepIn AI, and they're also dabbling in real world utilities. So as far as assets goes, real world assets. How is because they're focused on, it's gonna start with interoperability with um Chainlink. So once they work that portion out, you're gonna see how there'll be global adoption, because what Chainlink is gonna do is going to put Jasmy in a position to be interoperable with a lot of other cryptocurrencies, and that's where they'll start to gain a lot more traction. So if you really dig into, Jasmy as a project and what their vision is, um, you learn a lot. If you could ever catch one of their, you know, conferences where, Hera goes out and he's been pushing Junction so much, but Junction is basically like the way that Jasmy's built. Um, yeah, I know it's not the Bitcoin of Japan yet. They want to be, see, but that's what I'm saying is because they know, Jasmine knows that Bitcoin is basically a store of value for everything. So what their motto is or their vision is that they want to be store of value for Japan, right? So they want to be the big dog in Japan, in being that only token representing Japan and basically utilizing Junction as the motor. So, like, we could talk about cars. We could put this into a car perspective, right? So, when you think about Jasmine, Jasmine's the vehicle, and then you have Junction as the motor, and then you're gonna see how it expands out, and you'll see like chain links, progress, Jasmy chain, the layer two, all that's going to drive the vehicle. And you'll see as Jasmy starts to work and the PDL goes and they start to really dig into AI and DeepIn, you're going to have all these case studies that come out. People are going to start using it. They're gonna I guess, a show front away to where they get those users, right, to want to utilize it because now you're going to have Jasmy being burned as gas. You're going to be able to stake Jasmy. You're going to be, there is a staking platform that's on Junction, but it's really, I tried to mess with it a little bit, but I don't know if it's fully functional or not, but there's a staking platform within Junction. So all those utilities that you're using on Junction is going to be burned with Jasmy. So I wish I had a definite blueprint of what that really looks like, but basically to me, I just see a vision of how they want to start bringing mass utility to Jasmy through Junction. So. I was beginning to talk about reactive network. Now, I wanted to get this out there, and it's not to like say I'm moving from Junction to reactive network at all. I just think this is one of the most important layer one um, projects and protocols that are out there because their protocol is very unique, the way that they built it now, utilizing reactive network is basically it's very similar to internet computer, but at a higher level because their contracts, the way that they do their contracting, it's really seamless and it's quick. And there is a lot of interoperability, meaning there's a lot of flexibility for other tokens to be operating through that. So I'm gonna put together some videos and get, more reactive network videos out there. Just, I just want to bring value in 2025, 2026. Um, because there's a lot of moving parts right now in crypto. I did see somebody mention about Celestia. Celestia, I thought was on the right course. But there's a lot of hiccups with their protocol. There's a lot of things that are going on. I mean, but guys, again, like, look, man, internet computer, render, every project that had massive potential to make some major gains has really it's just being squeezed by Bitcoin and Bitcoin's just dominating the market. And that's because Bitcoin's doing what it was built to do by picking up all these large institutional investors. And we're going to see, you'll see how it plays out because what's going to happen is Bitcoin's going to cap. It's gonna cap because there's some, all these big investors are jumping in. These guys are holding like if you look at the top 10 holders, you got MicroStrategy, you got the Trump family, you have BlackRock, you have all these big companies that are basically bogarting Bitcoin, dumping it and bringing it back, dumping it and bringing it back, just to, they're skimming off the top, but they're skimming like, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like us, we try to move around with like 5 grand, to skim like, maybe 800 bucks. These guys are moving around millions or hundreds and hundreds of millions, and they're skimming, tens of millions, maybe, there's some that hold billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and those guys are skimming like hundreds of millions of dollars. But hey, there's a level for everybody. The best thing you got to do is position yourself to get to the next level. And my biggest take on what to do, like, I mean, if you look at the average person in the United States, nobody has like 100 grand laying around. Nobody has like, $1 million laying around. So you have to position yourself to get to that level. And the way you're going to do it right now, honestly, is, picking these right small cap projects. You have, let's say you had 10 grand to play around with. You're not going to dump it in like Solana or XRP or Bitcoin, because number one, the value of these tokens are already high. And second of all, you have these market caps that are ridiculous. You have like, Bitcoin's already its $1 trillion market cap. You look at Binance, it's got, huge market cap. All these projects are projects that have a big market caps. Now, the best thing to do is find tokens within, the top 100, 200, even some down in, like Reactive Network. I think it's sitting in like 3,000. I don't know. It's got a long way to go, but it has a mass potential. Like, I bought in on this one at 4 cents and it topped out at 15. Now it's back down to 7. So you could kind of see, what kind of potential is in there with these coins, and if there's a blue chip you really want to go after, there's still some good blue chips that are not too crazy, like, Litecoin. I've always been a firm believer of Litecoin to be one of those token that is going to consistently grow and grow over time, because it's like silver, right? You have Bitcoin as gold, Litecoin as silver. And those two really go hand in hand. They really have the same type of tokenomics. The store of value is great in both. I mean, look at Zcash. Zcash just went through the roof because why? It's one of those OG coins that there's value in it. There's value in it and people want it. People want to buy it because it's similar to what Bitcoin does. So Litecoin is one of those, if you have, $100, to throw in it every month, start buying that up now. Don't think about trying to get rich in this run if, you haven't positioned yourself. Now, if you positioned yourself and you have, a shitload of coins and a shitload of tokens with low caps, everybody's really waiting for, the altcoin season to hit so they could see these small caps start going parabolic. But everybody's losing patience, everybody's losing focus, because like I've been buying since 2023 and it's like, yeah, we had a great pump. We had a great a great run in December of last year. We were able to take some of those profits and utilize some of that. Um, but I was hoping that we would be, like I said, for Jasmine and 10 cents. I seen it coming, but then I seen it fizzle out once Bitcoin started accumulating more big investors. And like I said, it's gonna go a long way because now you have the US economy trying to regulate crypto. They're trying to really get a hold of it, to basically minimize or mitigate some of that volatility in the market. Look at the stock market. you know you can make good money, but you can't make money like you can make in crypto. So will that volatility go away? Will we have opportunities to make 100 grand off of $1,000? I think that's eventually going to go away because once the government and everybody starts to regulate everything and Bitcoin becomes like a standard, then we're going to start to see Bitcoin and maybe a handful of tokens only be the ones. But now, if we break into that Web3 cycle of new technology, then we're going to be in a position where we could all make some decent money. We could get wealthy, but then at the end of the day, 2040, 2050, it may all come to an end, and because it's going to stabilize. Right now, you're going to have to be bouncing back and forth. You're going to have to bounce back when you'll have to know a lot more than everything. You're going to have to know real estate. You're going to have to know AI technology, what to invest in. You're going to have to know what other types of areas can I make money while this market is down. And it's a cycle. It's a cycle. You want to invest money in businesses while you make those businesses happen. You make some decent money out of that. You skim some of that money, put it in crypto when crypto's down and everybody's like, oh, that shit ain't worth nothing no more. That's when you're making money, is when you're buying it, when people are like, it ain't worth nothing. And that goes to show you too, like, oh, when house market goes down, invest in the house market. So you just have to continuously try to build and compound the best way you can. Don't lose hope. In my opinion, there's tons of money to be made in the crypto space. I think when we hit a $14 trillion cap in crypto is when I would say game over. But right now we're only at 2, 3 trillion. I think there's plenty of money to come into crypto. Probably only maybe 20% of the globe is invested in it. So once we get to about 50% of everybody invested in there, then it's going to be, you know, probably one of those things that you're going to make 10, 20, 30,000, but you'll have a fat stack when that happens. As long as you stay diligent, as long as you stay investing properly and make the right decisions, and I'm gonna always come on here and try to give you guys my best opinion. And it's like, I never wanted to stop, but on a personal level, things got tough. I needed to take care of my family. Got 4 kids, a wife. Life is crazy. I got 2 adult kids and 2 little ones. So life gets tough. But as long as you continuously move forward, don't let everything, knock you down. I'm back again. I've had time over the whole time that I've been gone. I just been researching and trying to be able to build myself so I could give it to you guys for free on here. Well, if you guys have any questions for me, for those who are still here watching, God bless you. I love you. Thank you. That's dedication. I really appreciate it. I'm an emotional dude. I'm a big emotional bear, but I got nothing but love for you guys because my journey in crypto, I've lost a lot. I've been hurt a lot. I've made some dumb decisions, but it's all learning and stuff that made me better, to be able to give to you guys. All right. So, um, before I head out of here, um, you know, stay diligent. You guys reach me on X. I know some of you guys are following me on X. I have my Patreon I put together for 15 bucks a month. I'm gonna try building that throughout the next 6 months as we go into the peak of this bull run, because I'm a firm believer that this bull run's going to 2026 and probably third quarter, you know, because we have a lot going on. The economy is it's a big thing that needs to happen. The United States is going to print a shitload of money soon. I believe 2026 is going to be the year for people to make massive money if you position yourself the right way. So I'm going to always be on here and try to help you guys out. Guys, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys are not liked and subscribed, please share my videos if you can as I put them out. We're going to try to get back to the top, guys. Nothing but love for you guys. Jasmine, let's go. $1. We get Binance to kick us out that zone. I'm pretty confident we'll see at least 50, 60 cents, maybe even a dollar. I don't know. Who knows? But we shouldn't worry about that. We should just worry about positioning ourselves to win for the future. Love you guys. Take care. God bless. Remember, follow me on X, Patreon, 15 bucks. I'll do some video calls with you one on one, whatever you guys need. Nothing but love for you guys. I'm gonna see if I could put it in the description. I forgot to, but my biggest thing was getting home from working and coming over here and putting this out on a Friday night. I miss you guys so much. I'm gonna go through some of these right now. G Wagon. You want a G Wagon? I got you, homie. Just get at me, dog. 60 racks. You'll be able to buy two or three of them as long as you keep holding Jasmine. Yeah, it's not great to see you. KK Crypto, Bugatti, my dog, if you're still on here. Much love to you. You're a day one, homie. Local troll. I'm telling you, Celestia. Ah, man, it was a badass project, but I don't know who else is on here. Zenful Mine, $1,000. Let's get it, baby. I'm with it, 100%. Lexi Rodriguez, what's up, dog? Hopefully you come back and watch this if you're not on here. Miss you, homie. Still gonna rep this till the day I die. Jasmine, 100. All right, guys. Make sure you guys have those notifications on. I'm gonna try to get some videos out this weekend. If I can get them up by Sunday, but we're gonna try to get back in the game hard. If not, I'm gonna keep doing these lives as much as I possibly can. Hey, thank you guys. God bless. Appreciate you. Any questions? Drop them in the comments. I don't know how long it's gonna take for this thing to upload, but anything you guys got, drop it in the comments. I'm always there. Like I said, get at me on X, you know, whatever you need to do, because 2026, we're gonna set ourselves up for success. We got the blueprint. Check out the business blueprint. Love you guys. Take care. Be blessed.